let's go into, you mentioned something on altruist that was kind of a philosophy. You called it the flywheel approach.
Mhm.
I believe borrowed from Jim Collins. Can you talk through that? Because I think that's a really cool framework that I think some are familiar with, some aren't, that your version of that could apply to other firms here as they think through their practices.
Yeah, totally. So I think I'm a big fan of studying other great businesses and trying to learn from the best we can. We're really, really lucky here that one of our investors, as one of our strategic investors is Vanguard. One of our individual investors and board members is Bill McNabb, the former chairman and CEO of Vanguard. And he actually worked very closely with Jim Collins and kind of the team that put together Good to Great and on Vanguard's flywheel, right? And so I think people don't realize like using Vanguard first to then go into Altruist. To give some perspective on a company like Vanguard, right? They just celebrated their 50th year, I think last year. To my knowledge, they're either number one or two. It kind of changes by the day, but in terms of largest asset managers in the world, market movements can fluctuate, but I think they're north of 8 trillion in assets. So just a monstrously big, successful company. And at the core at Vanguard, like the one thing all of their, crew, as they call them, they have a very nautical theme, as you can imagine. So their team, they call it their crew, they all can recite. They know exactly what moves the needle at Vanguard, right? So it's in the book, but so I may mess it up a little bit by recall here, but by recall, theirs is their number one thing that they actually strive for is that they want to have, so their flywheel, think of it like a wheel, right? It's got a spoke. So the first spoke is have the lowest cost in the entire industry, right? To have I think their metric is they're trying to drive the average cost of service under 10 basis points across all their products. They believe by having the lowest cost, that lets them drive flywheel number two, right? So the next metric, which is the best returns, because they believe that low cost will increase the returns for their customers. So if they can have the lowest cost, they can drive the best returns. By having the best returns, they can have the happiest customers, right? They'll have the highest NPS and engagement among their customers. By doing that, they're going to drive more share of wallet, so more assets onto their platform. By driving more assets on their platform, they can further reduce their cost, and then they can further improve their performance, which will further improve the outcomes and happiness of their customers, which will allow them to drive more assets. And you can kind of see how a flywheel spins, right? It's hard to get it moving, but man, once it does, it starts to really chug along. And so it's very simple, right? Their flywheel. So we learned a lot from them. We started thinking about, with Altruist, our mission is making advice better, more affordable, and accessible to everyone. So like what would matter? What should we track? And if you don't track it, it doesn't matter. So what should we be tracking and working towards? And everybody at our company knows 100% exactly what our flywheel is. They know what all the metrics are as far as the numbers. Ours at the very core, the center of it is our team. So we measure internal engagement. We've about 350 people. We want our engagement score to be above 90. So we want people highly engaged. They are mission driven. They want to be here. They understand that if we win, if we do well as an organization, millions of people who otherwise could never get access to advice will get access to advice, good advice. They'll get better outcomes with their money, right? So like there's a real kind of fervent belief that team has to be engaged and follow believe in the mission, work hard towards it. But I think like what's cool about this is we built this all around our mission. And I think like this is part of, I'd say like a do business, do life, kind of mantra would be, it's really hard. Like if you start pounding that drum, it's going to feel really empty if the work you do doesn't matter. Right. Like, so I think it's really, really key that people start to think about, well, what happens if I'm successful? Like, what's the outcome if I'm successful? If this works. And so with a company like Altruist, we named it Altruist, right? Like, which is almost the definition of a fiduciary. Like we want to put others before ourselves. We want to build a platform that allows others to get phenomenal outcomes. So like, if we win, if that means that millions of people save billions of dollars in taxes and tens of billions of dollars in fees and ultimately closes the wealth gap in America and allows us to really make big impact in different communities all over the country, that's pretty worthwhile. Like that's something I want to get up and go do every day, and be excited about every day and build a team that's excited about every day. If the mission is like, go make tons of money, that's not really doing much for me. And for most people, almost anybody's going to eventually get tired. It's just not inspiring. Your team won't rally around it. So I think for us, like the flywheel is a really good way to Measure what matters, but all of those metrics, they're not like metrics. None of them you'll notice are like make more revenue, have bigger profits, do a big quarterly dividend, buy a new McLaren, like get a private jet, right? Like none of that shit matters. You know, like that's not important to me. It might matter to other people. So I would say like they should do what matters to them, but it's just not important to me. So I'm going to build a company and a culture built around a mission that really matters. And then I want to build metrics on my flywheel that like we're hell bent on like improving those metrics. We are really close, by the way, but they should be by default. Those haven't read, good to great. They should be stretch goals. They should be really hard to hit. And you should, as soon as you hit them, that means you need to start reaching higher.